This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This
Just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam in for Jeff, and I'm sad that we don't have Jeff here because I know he's such a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And we do begin today with some very tragic news. Comedian Richard Lewis passed away yesterday at the age of 76 from a heart attack. Last year, he announced he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and less than 3 weeks ago, in one of his final interviews, he told people he was doing quite well. Richard was known, of course, for his neurotic and self-deprecating style of comedy. In the 80s and 90s, he made appearances on The Tonight Show and The Late Show with David Letterman. In 1989, he landed a leading role with Jamie Lee Curtis in the ABC sitcom Anything But Love. Richard then appeared in movies such as Robin Hood Men in Tights, and most recent years, he is known for playing a semi-fictionalized version of himself throughout the 24 years of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And of course, we know that many tributes are pouring in, including from Larry David, who shared a statement saying, quote, "Richard and I were born 3 days apart in the same hospital, and for most of my life, he's been like a brother to me. He had that rare combination of being the funniest person and also the sweetest, but today he made me sob, and for that, I'll never forgive him." Jamie Lee Curtis posted pictures from Anything But Love with a lengthy caption ending with, quote, "He also is the reason I am sober. He helped me. I am forever grateful for him for that act of grace alone." Al, as a comedian, and I know that you've been in the same comedy venue with him. And
yes.
Talk about how he treated his work as a comedian, because I think that leads into the advice he gave Jamie Lee Curtis, and then you also mentioned on the Howard Stern show.
Right. Well, he was very serious about his sobriety, and he took steps. I think people say that they want to lose weight, or they want to stay sober, or they want to cut sugar, but then there's kind of an opaque plan to do that.
Yeah.
He kind of understood who he was, probably understood what his triggers were before that word trigger was ever used, and he avoided them. I think a lot of times when people do fall back into their old patterns, unfortunately it's because you decide to change the behavior, but not the things that go around it. Worked with Richard a couple of times, and he was a guy that, he also had OCD neuroses, and I'm sure he wouldn't like to be in a green room where other people have been.
It's nasty in there, guys.
Do a lot of door handles,
Right.
So he would get to the venue, he'd walk straight in from the street, basically, do the show and walk right out the fire exit out the back.
Right.
And, he was able to obviously maintain his own sobriety, but others. And you have to understand, this was a different time, Kabi, when there wasn't a lot of support for people getting sober.
Especially in the comedy scene,
in the
let's be
comedy
honest.
scene
Yeah.
in the 80s, I mean,
Right.
that was usually a death sentence, because who was going to get you sober? All your friends were doing it too. So he was really like a beacon of light for entertainers that wanted to get to the other side.
And I just have to very quickly say,
Please.
as a Jewish comedian, he really encapsulated that sort of anxious worry that is really funny in a lot of ways that people love for Curb. And he just reminds me of my own mind a lot. The worry, that's very him. So
He will be missed.
He will absolutely
He will
be missed.
definitely be missed. Our thoughts and prayers to his wife and his family. All right, so Paul Simon, Tori, I know that you're very invested in this, is one of the greatest songwriters in history, and he has a 2-part docuseries coming out in March that will cover his 6-decade career and his journey creating his most recent album. So let's take a look at a clip from the trailer.
Simon is joining us.
Paul Simon?
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon.
People used to say, oh, you have your finger on the pulse. No, I don't have my finger on the pulse. I just have my finger out the earth. And the pulse is running under.
And it appears that the docuseries will also cover Paul's friendship with Art Garfunkel and how their partnership eventually dissolved and became contentious. And I know that's what's making all these headlines right now, Tori. Do you think that's fair that everybody's focusing on that aspect of it and not the buildup for Paul Simon? What
It's
do you
all
think?
like sex sells and the drama. And we all know he's never spoken openly about Art Garfunkel. They famously stopped talking after Bridge Over Troubled Water, that album, which is one of the best selling, by the way, of all time. And And I am interested in hearing that, but I'm also interested in hearing about his political views. If you didn't know, in the 60s and 70s in South Africa during apartheid, we had an embargo in which we weren't speaking to South Africa, and he crossed that and joined Ladysmith Black Mambazo and created Graceland and brought the South African sound to what we now know as one of the greatest albums of all time, and crossed boundaries with music and art that changed the political foreign policy of the time. He also is just a beautiful songwriter, a poet, if you will. My mother and father got married to Bridge Over Troubled Water. She came out of a coma listening to Bridge Over Troubled Water, and there's something in their sweetness, is what my mother always said. He had the great voice, but Art Garfunkel had the sweetness and very high falsetto, not a lot of vibrato, and together they made magic. And if you haven't heard anything, their concert in Central Park is what we saw there, is really famous for that sound.
Do you think, since you're such a big fan and you know so much about him as well as Art, do you think that there is a chance of them reuniting, or do you think this might be a bridge
to troubled water? No, I totally
a bridge to calm water.
Right, and everyone's tried.
Like a bridge to troubled water.
Calm water.
It's a bridge over.
Yes,
you
avoid the troubles.
You don't want to be in the water.
Well,
in trouble.
A bridge to troubled water.
Well, no, I'm saying, could that lead to troubled water? They have famously always been asked. Stern has wanted it. Everyone wants them back together again. One thing Paul Simon isn't is corny, and I don't think he'll do it. But the other thing is, he's very funny. If you haven't seen any of his Saturday Night Live sketches with Steve Martin in the 70s, watch them because they're great.
Thank you for that, Tori. Yep. Coming up on DBL, award-winning journalist Ashley Banfield is talking to us and taking us behind the scenes of her true crime series. And Oprah is leaving Weight Watchers. What do we think of this after revealing she's on a weight loss drug?
If you be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal. I can call you Betty. Betty, when you call me out.
So when you hear that kind of a laugh, and Al goes, that's usually because Al's just insulted someone really hardcore. Good burn. Good burn. This is Brianna. She loves being on camera.
I sure do.
She's teaching me about Oprah Winfrey. Oh, I saw all this.
Okay, so
I'm going to read all this.
The first time that I heard Bridge Over Troubled Water, and I remember it, was Leanne Rimes did my first CD was a Leanne Rimes CD. I got a CD player, and I got Leanne Rimes, Leanne and Whitney.
Those are good.
And I would play it. It was like basically 13 songs that Leanne Rimes had done covers
Just covers,
for,
yeah.
And that was one of them. So when I think of it, when I hear it, now I'm like, that version that she has.
You hear her.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
The greatest part is Eva Cassidy, also, may she rest, does a beautiful version of Bridge Over Troubled Water, I would recommend. But the sweetest part is the bridge. This is so funny, we keep saying it. In music, there's a bridge where you build up and build up.
Got it, bro.
Okay. Remember when I was...
Enough with the bridge.
Sorry. At one point...
It's a crescendo, if you will.
At one point, I was showing people to garden, and he wrote on my Instagram, "It's dirt and water enough." No. Anyway, he's such a pervert.
He is a hater.
He's in a bad mood today. It's allowed. It's allowed. Anyway, the bridge is beautiful, and art is part of that. But art, a lot of people said art went after the money, and then he said Paul Simon went after the money, and it got really contentious financially.
It seems like
Shouldn't everybody be going after the
Look at
money?
Outkast. Look at, everybody.
It's hard.
Wow, Rob. Nice. Welcome back. Oprah Winfrey is leaving the board of Weight Watchers after 8 years in the role. She said she will continue working with the company to elevate the conversation around recognizing obesity as a chronic condition, working to reduce stigma, and advocating for health equity. And it was just a few months ago that Oprah revealed she's using weight loss medication as a quote-unquote maintenance tool after she reconciled the science and released her own shame about it. Oprah stepping away is another huge blow for Weight Watchers as they have been dealing with heavy competition from injectable drugs. In fact, Tori
I would say so.
Yeah,
I would say that they're dealing with some.
Maybe they need to inject some cash because
they just called the CEO in the middle of the night, like, look, nothing to worry about. There's a new drug out.
Yeah, but
that
a lot
totally
of people,
makes us irrelevant.
No,
But
I'll quickly. I disagree with you because a lot of people can't afford those.
That's
weight
a
loss
great point.
drugs. You can't
Right
spend
now.
$1,000, $1,200, $2,000 a month. What people can do that
do you
besides
remember
Oprah
how much?
and other?
Do you remember how much DVD players were when they first came out? And now they're like $14 at Best Buy. Like the price is going to come down.
when more people make it. It's a good point, interesting about the pricing financially,
nice time
though.
to reference DVD players.
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna
I
say,
almost was like,
cool,
I'm
1996.
sponsored by Radio Shack.
Sam and I just looked at each other like,
Do you want to let him have it?
Okay.
Want to go to Circuit City after? All right.
I love
I
Circuit
do
City.
want to let you know that share prices after this announcement fell more than 27% of Weight Watchers in post-market trading following her announcement. She said she would donate her stock in the company to the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Weight Watchers board said it supported her decision and thanked her, but this could not be worse. My envisioning of Weight Watchers is that it leaves and gets, it goes out of business, in my
I think
opinion.
that's unfortunate.
I don't
hope
know.
not.
Who's going to
Yeah.
stick around for Weight Watchers?
know.
People
I
that
don't-
Talk
can't
to me.
afford
Talk to me.
the drugs.
But
She donated her stock to the Smithsonian. That's not that's where they put relics.
I don't
a great museum.
believe that Weight Watchers is going to fold and just go away.
Tell us why.
I believe that Weight Watchers has had several iterations over several decades. I remember going to Weight Watchers meetings with my mother when I was younger. She mentioned, telling y'all earlier that I had to break the news to my mother that Oprah had admitted to taking a weight loss drug because she was talking about continuing with Weight Watchers, which I encouraged her to do because I had a conversation with Dr. Coley about what age would be appropriate or not appropriate for people to try these weight loss drugs because of Oprah. Oprah's in her 70s.
Right.
And I'm concerned about older people having those types of drops in weight, and especially not having any types of tools to sustain it.
Which Weight Watchers does give you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and
a good point.
It's one thing for a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old to yo-yo, back and forth in terms of your weight. But for a 70-year-old to do that,
right.
I have some concern. So I do think that Weight Watchers definitely is going to still be relevant. They're just going to have to figure out where they fit in the market.
I wonder if Oprah is going to come up with, her own weight loss drug and make it affordable for people.
Yeah.
And knowing Oprah, she does look at things, to your point, in a full scope where I can't just say, go inject yourself with these drugs.
Right.
I think Oprah's going to be the type of person, and this is just me, this is just a theory, but it would be wonderful to have people who are using it, because Oprah said specifically as a maintenance tool.
Right.
So, but you have to couple it with what they do at Weight Watchers
Right.
on just almost rewiring your brain when it comes to food in general. And maybe Oprah's going to be the bridge for that, not to bring up bridge again.
Well, no, that's interesting that you say that, Sam, because I think that this is such an aesthetic representation of what people are doing in real time. It's very difficult to lie about what you're doing.
For sure.
But if you notice Oprah's transition, it does look very different than like a Sharon Osbourne,
Yes.
who, and granted, they were starting in different places, but Oprah's face, like the tautness of her skin, those things don't seem to be as affected. So I feel like there might be something to, the duality in whatever she's doing.
She always has strategy.
She does. She thinks ahead, that Oprah.
She's unbelievable.
She really is.
Yeah, there's going to be more from Oprah on this. Just
I agree.
watch. Okay, coming up on DBL, we are talking with award-winning journalist Ashley Banfield all about a true case that captivated the country. Next.
Welcome back. We have all seen the gruesome true crime headlines, but now Ashley Banfield is taking a deep dive into some of the most prolific cases on her new show, Crime Nation. Earlier, we spoke with her all about it.
I have seen cases fall apart based on false confessions.
The prosecution says they can't release a transcript of the confessions because of the gag order by the courts.
Ashley Banfield, welcome to DBL. Good to see you.
Hey guys, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So Ashley, I'm a true crime junkie. So what kind of new information will Crime Nation bring to life?
Well, I'm so glad, first of all, to hear that you're a fan of true crime. And it turns out that you join millions and millions of people who have sort of flocked to this genre in the last 5 to 10 years. And I think there's a good reason why. I think, for starters, we go to movie theaters and we're enthralled by these cinematic dramas that take us through a mystery, and then we walk out of the theater and realize it's happening right here in my backyard. It's happening all around me for real. And then I can get on the interwebs and I can actually be a part of the sleuthing community. There are a lot of true crime sleuths out there that, for better or for worse, get very involved in putting the puzzle pieces together. And if you think about it, guys, homicide detectives are a limited number and a limited budget. Even the FBI has a limited budget. So to have hundreds of thousands of eyeballs out there scanning every frame of video on a story and looking through every piece of social media on a story and finding clues, that could be very helpful.
So, you've been covering these kinds of cases for a while, and they are gruesome and sad, and these are real people at the base of them. So are there any cases that stick with you after the work is over?
Yeah, so many of them stick with me, and I'm going to give you an example of one in particular, Al, that I just thought about it before I came on with you guys. In Delphi, Indiana, 7 years ago, Libby German and Abby Williams, two just barely reaching their teens girls, went for a walk. 13 and 14 years old. They went out for a walk on a hiking trail, and they disappeared. And then their bodies were found the next day. And we are now 7 years later, and we still don't have resolution in that case because we don't have someone brought to justice for it. We've got somebody in jail awaiting trial, Richard Allen, and that trial should be this fall. But we don't have resolution. That's what sticks with me oftentimes.
Yeah, I believe that. As a mom of two, I can't imagine.
I actually remember that case.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what these family members must be going through. Okay, let me ask you this, Ashley, because why is it that Americans, especially women, have such a fascination with true crime stories?
I think it's also that whole notion of being able to be a part of it. Nobody really got online before, like a book club, and joined the sleuthing community before. And even if they don't join the sleuthing community actively, they can passively look and see what the latest developments are moment to moment. They don't have to wait for a news program. They can literally see some of the puzzle solving in real time online. Whether it's being solved accurately is a whole other kettle of fish. And on Crime Nation, we're taking this very seriously. We're not only looking at what they're doing online, but we're then placing that next to fact and evidence so that whomever is following what they're following online can see whether it checks out or not. I think that is a big fascination for people. They want to know what the resolution is, but they also desire the accuracy and can't always find it on the internet.
What do you think about sensationalizing true crime, though?
Yeah, that is the downside. Just like there's a downside for crime sleuthers who start pointing the finger at people, which they should never be doing. Only the police should be doing that. There is that notion that this can be sensationalized. And one thing that we never forget, whether it's on News Nation or whether it's on Crime Nation, is that there are real people involved here. There are real people who are suffering and want justice for their loved one, their friend, their family, their colleague. This is not something that should be ogled.
Right.
This is something we should be a part of as good citizens, because guess what justice is? It's us.
Yeah.
We're the jurors. We are the judges. We're electing the people who bring people to justice. It is a good citizenry that says, when I get my jury summons, I will do that. I'm not going to try to get out of it, because if everybody tries to get out of it, we have no justice in this country. It is a good democratic thing to be a part of the justice system. It's also a good democratic thing to remember that there are real victims involved.
Well said, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. To our viewers, you can catch Crime Nation right now on CW. Thank you again. Good to see you. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
Steph, what do you have for us today?
Hey Tori, hi DBL Nation. I am super excited to show you all of the lovely deals today. So let's go shopping. First up, we're looking in the kitchen because we've got the Roberts & Belk Adeline 60-piece flatware set. This deal includes 12 dinner forks, 12 salad forks, 12 butter knives, 12 soup spoons and 12 dessert spoons.
Everything.
Normally this is $129.
Right, normal. I get it.
We've got it for $49. $29.99. That's saving 61%.
I think that's stunning. I think it's a beautiful design.
And check out this. This is really handy. It's the AlphaGo Med Upper Arm Electronic Blood Pressure Monitor. This deal includes one pressure machine with a cuff, which is ideal for home blood pressure monitoring. Normally this is $30.
Okay.
We've got it for $14.99. That's saving 50% for it. And check out this. This is handy. This is the SoundStream Premium True Wireless Stereo Earbuds.
Hello.
This deal includes one pair of earbuds with a case and 3 sets of ear tips and ear wings. We've got it available in black or in white. So normally this is $180. We've got it for $15. That's saving 92%. Isn't that wild?
That's almost all the way off. That's almost 100% off.
And then our last product today is the Cloth & Gable Reversible Down Alternative Comforter Set.
Nice.
This deal includes one comforter and 2 shams, but only 1 sham if you order twin size, okay?
Got it.
We've got it available in 4 colors. We've got sizes king, queen, and twin. You're gonna enjoy snuggling up with this customer favorite.
Nice, it's all cozy.
Oh, I know. So normally it's between $100 to $130. We've got it for $29.99 to $34.99. That's saving 73%.
Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on screen to take you directly to all these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph.
What did you want to add about?
Oh, I was just going to say, Paul Simon does he did a funny sketch on SNL about the sound of silence.
A lot of people don't know how funny he
He's
is.
hysterical, and he's like, silence doesn't have a sound. That's why it's funny. It's really good.
We are going to, in honor of Al, close the show with Call Me
We
Out.
should close every show like this.
Close it.
If you be my bodyguard,